What's going on out there, humans? Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where you're at in this world. Hope everybody woke up feeling blessed and grateful. I know I did. Welcome to another episode of the Humans with Brains podcast. I'm your host, Opulent Six, and these are my co-hosts, Leonika and Jennifer.
Hi.
I woke up feeling blessed too.
And grateful.
And tired, but definitely blessed.
And grateful.
And grateful.
And tired. She's
That's
tired.
kind of how I wake up every morning. I feel invigorated, like let's go. Anybody got any random gripe to get off their chest? Any randomness before we get into it?
Why are you looking at me?
I looked at both of y'all. You just probably got randomness, so you feel singled out. Go ahead.
I don't have random anything.
All right, well, what's our topic for today?
So today's topic is basically how each and every one of us regulate our nervous system, especially at this day and age. Everyone is overstimulated. Everyone is tired. Jen woke up tired today. So that's what
basically
we're going to unpack.
Today's topic is about mental health.
Yeah.
Yes, and what you do and how you go about it, and maybe it can help out people.
Yeah.
Because sometimes waking up in the morning is just an accomplishment within itself. And getting out of bed.
Absolutely. You ain't never lied about that. I be feeling like that a lot. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't even want to get up from bed.
I think it's partially because I'm not a morning person. Never really have been. But then it's like, yeah, but you wake up a little later, you still be tired. So I just think I'm like a low energy person. I don't know why, but
I have my moments. I have my moments where I'm like, oh my God, it's the morning. And then I'm like, I'm making breakfast, I'm doing this. And then there's other times that I have to force myself out of bed. And one of my tricks to like actually start my day feeling productive and doing productive things is to actually make my bed. It goes a long way. Some people get up and they just leave it, whatever works. But for me personally, when I get up and I make sure I do it, even if it's not perfect, as long as like the pillows are there, your covers are fine, and I feel like that sets the tone. Also, I try not to look at my phone, at least at minimum, the first 5 minutes. They say it does something to you. It can overstimulate you faster.
Right in the morning, yeah.
Yeah. And then sometimes I listen to morning affirmations.
That's nice.
I do try to close my eyes and meditate. I'm still working on that. I know, Six, you meditate, right?
Yeah, well, I get into my morning routine. What's your morning routine? And then I get into mine.
Wake up, stumble into the bathroom to use the restroom, and stumble to whatever I gotta do.
Why did I just picture her like hair messed up?
Yeah.
Still like...
I will be the first to admit I probably don't have the best like morning routine because I'm like... get up and go. Like, I don't think I give myself enough time to like wake up and reset.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes it's like, oh, my goddaughter's here. I got to hurry up and do this real quick. Let me brush my teeth and get downstairs. So it's not until like I have some coffee. Like I have a process that I think people have known, my friends have coined for me, is defrosting. So I defrost at least half the day. Yeah.
From her sleep.
From my slumber, yeah.
So if you woke up at 8 a.m., what time do you defrost?
She doesn't wake up at 8 a.m.
I can sometimes.
Pretend she woke up at 8 today.
Yeah.
What time would she be defrosted?
I don't know, 1:32.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It takes a long time.
Ooh.
I know. I'm working on that. Honestly, it's not the best. It's probably one of the one or two things that I could change about my morning routine. Actually, I really want to change about my morning routine. That could probably help with my mental health for sure, or at least feeling good physically throughout the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of the 5 a.m. club. I'm not there yet. I feel like you are. Well,
definitely,
maybe 5.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like you can't, I read it a long time ago and it was true. Like you want to, especially coming from nothing, you want to be a millionaire, you got to be in a 5 a.m. club. I didn't start off in a 5 a.m. club, but on my way to actually amass, some M's, I had to start getting up at 5 in the morning just because there was so much to do and you only have 24 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you only have so much time in the day. So I used to get up about 10 or 11, but I dialed it back and back. The more I read, the more I pushed myself to get up earlier.
Yeah.
And that was the catalyst that really, set me on a path to financial freedom. When I wake up, I read, I meditate, I exercise, then I start my day. I take care of my mind, my body, and my soul. That triangle, that trichotomy. A triangle land right side up no matter which way you tip it. So if it could be your finances a little off or your relation, no matter which way you tip a triangle, it land pointed right side up. So center yourself, take care of your mind, your body, and your soul, and everything else will follow. But everything comes after that. Like training, client, everything come after that. You can't pour from an empty cup. So I like to wake up and give myself enough ample amount of time for geniusness and epiphanies to strike. Most people, especially y'all who are on the road to financial freedom, you don't get up early enough to hear the voice of God before traffic, before the phone start buzzing, before you start poisoning your mind with the music you listen to or start self-deprecating. You get up, let's say you got to be to work at 9, you waking up at 8:14, running through the house, grab this, grab that, got to get right here. Like you're always in urgency mode and get off, I want to relax. Like there's never a time. I like waking up and just being at my leisure where I could just sit there and just hear a voice say, hey, you should do a podcast, or hey, you should write a book. And I go, the hell you mean? But I just act on it because I know that ain't even my voice. I act on it, but y'all don't get, y'all always in the red. I gotta go now. Oh, I'm late for this. I'm late. You in the red. Your whole life is spent in an emotional urgency, but not in a good way. You know what I'm saying?
So speaking of emotional urgency, Mel Robbins, have you heard of her? She has a book out, she has a podcast, and I saw one of her videos and she said, she got scientific on us. Get up right away when your alarm goes off. Don't snooze it. Because what happens is when we're snoozing it, from what she said, when we're snoozing it, that's 9 minutes, right? So then you fall back asleep. So when you fall back asleep, you start another like REM cycle. And usually when you're up and you snap out of it, when you're starting that, right? Usually it's like, she says 75 to 90 minutes that your body is already preparing to rest for. So when you hit the snooze button, then you wake up again 9 minutes later, and then you're up and going. That's the reason why you're basically tired throughout the day.
That makes sense.
Because you should have just like gotten up on the first time around.
Versus snoozing, waking up.
I don't use an alarm clock. I can't even remember the last time I used an alarm. I don't use an alarm clock. My situation coming up was dire. Like I'm gonna get up because I want to be up. I need to be up. I need to be doing things. I don't care if I booked a movie or what. I don't need an alarm clock.
What time
First
does
of
your body
all,
wake you up?
my body, I was going to say, first of all, my body would naturally start nudging itself around 4, almost 5 o'clock in the morning.
Every day.
Every day. That's just his natural, it's just my visceral sleep schedule now. But when you are enthusiastic about life or want to become enthusiastic about life, you have to get up early enough to renegotiate your life. In this world, death is the only thing final, far as we know. Death is the only thing final in this world. Everything else can be renegotiated. I seen people that was 400 pounds got better abs than mine. I seen people who had life in prison get out. There was people who were poor that are multimillionaires. There were people who was loveless and had tumultuous relationships and they married a prince in real life. Everything can be renegotiated if God wakes you up. Everything. So if you don't like your life, your weight, your bank account, your credit score, your romantic relationships, those are all the things you need to water and cultivate throughout the day. It's only 24 hours. You got to get a head start. By the time I got through, all right, I'm taking care of my body. Now I'm fixing my credit. Now I got to make sure I'm locking in with my woman because I still want a relationship. Now I got to be a father. Now I got to go here. Now I got to read. Now I got to go to this seminar. By the time I got done doing all that, I didn't have time for those banal conversations anymore. Friends like, he acting funny. I am watering the things that I want to see fruitful. So when people look at my life, I have all the things that I watered. I have a beautiful relationship. I watered that. I have financial freedom. I watered that. I'm intelligent. I'm strong. I'm healthy. I'm a father. These are all the things I watered. If you just chase the bag, don't water your relationships, congratulations, homie. You're a millionaire, don't got nobody to share it with, or congratulations, boss babe. Love the cars, love the purses and shoes, but you have no one to share it with. Whatever you water will grow. So for me, there was a time in my life where I didn't like nothing. I didn't like the way I looked. I used to be 247 pounds pre-diabetic. I was born in an impoverished neighborhood. I didn't like where I was living, the car I was driving. I didn't even like the woman there was nothing about my life I liked at that time. And I was like, you know what? Let me start my renegotiation process. That's why I always say, I hope you woke up blessed and grateful, because I know I did. Because I know as long as I can get up, I can look up. And if you can look up, you can stand up. Falling down is on accident. Staying down is a personal choice. That's on purpose. It's time for a lot of y'all out there listening to get up. It's time to get up.
But the process of getting up, like, that is not easy.
Let's dig into that.
Yeah, because it's like, obviously for you now, it's like you can say these things and you can say it with conviction and everything, and your life is the proof of that. But I'm sure there were moments, you know what I mean? Or I don't know if but I feel like the process of getting back up, the process of really having those tough conversations with yourself, of saying you can do this, you can, like, my dad told me motivation is like taking a shower. You need it daily. But sometimes, to me personally, staying motivated is also tough. Because you feel like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm taking 2 steps forward, I'm making a dent at something. The next thing you know, something happens. And then you end up falling back, or you feel like you took 2 steps just to be 3 steps behind again. And then it's like another conversation within yourself where you have to change your perspective, looking at it this way. Because right now, you just said you woke up this morning, now you got up, now you got to look up, right? So now it's like, okay, I'm looking up, I'm trusting the process, but then it's like the patience that has to come with that and everything
patience,
else.
Can we talk about the motivation aspect? I like that. And then we go to patience. I like where we're going with this. Motivation's patience. Motivation is not necessarily the best thing to possess when you want to get up from that down spot where you at.
Right.
Motivation is finite.
Yep.
If your boyfriend broke up with you, sometimes most of the time y'all motivated to go to the gym. I'm gonna get my body back right. But as soon as you find another man, you no longer in the gym. You like, oh, he like me for who I am. That motivation, let me finish. That motivation is fleeing. It comes and goes. You need something bigger. You need to know what your why is. Why are you doing this? And it can't be motivation. I tell people like this: if you have a hard time staying motivated, it's because your standards are too low. Raise your standards. No matter would you ever eat food out of a trash can?
No, I wouldn't.
What if you're hungry?
I would never.
What if you wanted something to eat?
Okay, I'll figure it out. I don't have to eat out of the trash.
Exactly. No matter what, she'll never eat out of the trash because she has standards. Set everything else in your life as a standard and you won't be so low. Say, for example, let's just use weight. You know what? I don't need to be the most sexiest person on earth, but I'll never allow myself to get 200 pounds. Because that's a standard. You like, why would I eat out the trash can? Because you're not a millionaire. Yeah, but I'll always have enough money to eat what I want. All right, use that same concept on every part of your life. Use it like Tabasco and set a standard. When you set a standard, it's easier to stick to your goals. Y'all standards are really too low and you like to negotiate with yourself. So that's my take on motivation. I tried it's fleeing. Because sometimes you motivate the same thing that motivated you this month. Like, oh man, I'm in a rough spot. Finna get this bread. All right, but you got the bread. You're not in a rough spot next month. Now how you gonna keep going? So you need a standard, in my opinion. Set standards and be steadfast on those standards, and it'll be easier to continue to elevate. What you feel about motivation?
I've heard similar things, like sometimes motivation is just not enough, or it's just like trying to be happy all the time. It's not really.
Well, remember we talked about toxic positivity?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Are we gonna get into that?
Yeah,
because I mean, because sometimes too, right? Like you have these tough because, for example, I have friends that have gotten laid off from a job, and that's what I mean about like the motivation part, right? Because you worked your butt off to get to this point in your life, and you moved up in the company, and then the next thing you know, boom, you're laid off, and then boom, you're like back to square one, and then you've been in the job market for X amount of time, and you still have yet to lock in a job, and now, you're back either doing things, bartending, whatever it is, freelancing, the whole nine. And it's like, it's those tough conversations within yourself that you really have to motivate yourself, tell yourself you got here before, you can get there again. Like, to me, that's like what's happening right now. A lot of people have gotten laid off. Like, it's not just my friends. I've heard other people, they're finishing their contracts and then now they can't even figure out how to get a new job or a new role somewhere else. And even for me, when I, had to figure some things out and I had to downsize, and it's even the idea of downsizing because you know that your life isn't positioned a certain way anymore, that's tough.
Heck yeah.
And then it's like to accept the reality that this is what you're doing. And then it's like, I have to honor how I feel because I don't want to do toxic positivity within myself saying like, but hey, at least you have a roof over your head. You should be grateful. I get all of that. Like, I grew up on that. It's one of those like, oh my God, I'm feeling depressed today. And my grandma's like, you better depress them dishes. Like, you're in this country now. I brought you here. You should be happy. Like, I get that. Yeah. But I feel like the process of actually you guys talked about getting into a dark place or whatever the case may be. You have to honor how you feel, and you really have to honor the fact that yes, it's tough right now, but then like what Six said, you set the standard and you have to like motivate yourself again and again and again to finally get there. But sometimes trusting the process, I want to know, does the process know we're trusting it? Because what's going on? Like,
my therapist gave me the like greatest piece of advice on like how to navigate through some of that. And it started to make more sense. It was carry on. Right? So all of those things that have happened to you and everything that you've experienced is real, but you take it with you.
Okay.
It's not just moving on, it's carrying on, because sometimes those things are just a part of who you are, your makeup, what you've been through. It doesn't nullify that or invalidate that that's part of your experience and that you can feel about that way. I feel however you want to feel about that, but you still carry on. You still decide like, I'm going to move forward anyway, because of whatever your ultimate goal is, right?
Because there was like an in-between time for me that I'm like, did I make the right decision? And then it's like, I also feel like when you regret things, regret is just a way of saying you didn't learn from your mistake or mistakes or from your decisions. So there was
like, sorry.
Yeah, no, there was a time too that I'm like, in the between time of trying to trust the process or trusting the process. That's another like topic that goes on in my head when I have a staff meeting in my head. Do we regret this decision? Should you have done this?
Girl,
should
that's you a waste of time, that? Girl.
I know, but it's, you get me? Like that's why
I do, but I've kind of long since abandoned that theory. I don't do that as much as I say, what am I in alignment with?
Gotcha.
So,
well, I stopped.
Yeah. So it's like, there's no point in regretting it for the most part, but I would try to lean into that and say, okay, this is somewhere I can make an adjustment. Okay, so let's say your emotions, right? I've always said that your emotions are indicators. They are, it's a metric system to let you know what you're feeling and what you're focused on. Yeah. So like, let's say I'm supposed to get up and go to the gym today. I don't feel like it. That's real. But that that emotion is just letting you know how you feel. It doesn't mean
that you're not going to do it.
That you're going to make a decision off of being tired. You're supposed to get up and go anyway, because what is your goal? What are you trying to get to? Okay, I said I wanted to work out. I said I wanted to get fit. I wanted to lose some weight. So how I feel right now, while it's real, it's not relevant to the decision that I've decided to make. But it is an indication. Right. Your gas tank is an indication of when you need gas. You can't put a happy face sticker over and say, I'm not getting gas because I don't feel like it's you have to do it. Like, no one cares that you didn't feel like it. So you're going to sit on the side of the road until what?
Sometimes, people like to live life on edge.
I've been that person, but I
good.
think,
That was good.
I think my point is that, like, emotions, feelings, situations, circumstances, it's all real. But when you align yourself
Mm-hmm.
to it,
Yeah.
that's it. And the last thing that I'll say is another good kind of, I don't know what the word is right now, but anyway, my therapist was telling me when you take off in a plane, like you're going in a certain trajectory, you take off and then they start, there's ticks. It ticks in certain ways. Like one tick, you can be in Florida, another tick, you can be in New York.
Mm-hmm.
But the system inside of the plane lets you know when you're off that trajectory so that you can course correct. So that's what I think emotions kind of do. They kind of let you know where you are
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to go to New York. So
Mhm.
I'm going to tick that way. I'm not going to tick this way to get into Florida. But it only takes a little. It's small, intricate movements that get you in the direction.
Mm-hmm.
But long term, this is where you're trying to go, right? You're trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
But it takes that intricate balance of, okay, I'm off course. Let me get back on. Okay, this is uncomfortable. Let me get back on. Okay, this isn't right. Let me get back on. I'm still going to New York. I don't care what anybody says or how I feel. I'm still going. And then that system inside of you kind of like guides you and lets you know when you're off course or not.
I agree. Because even with me saying like the process, no, we're trusting it. The reason why I feel like I have anxiety is because I ask this question all the time. Hey, process, do you know that I trust
And
you?
who's answering you, by the way?
Probably Leah number 8. I don't know.
Like, pilots can't see where they're going, right? They're fully trusting on the mechanism.
No, I know. I went
So you can't-
skydiving on
you
my
don't know.
birthday because I really wanted to prove to myself that I trust the process. Like, it was Will Smith went skydiving in
50th?
Dubai. Yeah. And
That was pretty
he
awesome.
had this whole video and this
I
nice,
remember that. I like that.
like nice speech about it,
Oh.
about skydiving, like on your way up
Oh,
there.
that's why you wanted to try it.
I mean, yeah, because I wanted to figure out like how I can really. It's so extreme, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to trust the process. I'm just going to go all the way. I'm going to jump out of a plane. And it's so true. It's like the overthinking and all of that. It happens on your way up there. But when you jump out of that plane, it's like he said it. What is it? On the other side of your maximum fear is like pure bliss or something along those lines. And it's so true. On my way up there, I'm having a conversation with God, like, please, I trust
Not
you.
the trouble.
Make sure that we land and we get there. And then it happened. And then it was, I don't know, it was great.
Hmm.
But with anxiety and with me doing that extreme thing,
Mm-hmm.
my therapist told me, practice a gratitude mindset, which goes back to every day. 6 is like, good morning, good afternoon. I
Yeah.
hope everyone
Yeah.
woke up feeling blessed and grateful. And then you and I have conversations about this all the time. Like when I asked you, I'm like, how do I realign myself back? I'm like, I feel like I'm all over the place. And he told me, like, what are you grateful for? Give me 5 things. Boom, boom, boom. All right, keep going. So that's like what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And actually it works.
It sounds like, if you don't mind me making just an assessment.
Are you
from-
going to diagnose me?
Just from back here? I could be wrong, but it sounds like you're trying to get around trusting yourself.
Yeah. Not trying to get around, but I'm still in the process of that.
It's hard.
It is. So it's
from one person who didn't trust to another.
yeah. But how do you have anxiety?
No, I'm a man. We don't
You don't get
get to
anxious?
acknowledge anxiety.
Oh.
Men and women live under a different set of consequences. If you have anxiety and want to take the day off, your girl's like, girl, you need that day. Men, we're not allowed to really have that emotion. We have bills to pay and people to take care of.
Dang.
We live under 2 different sets of consequences. I'm not allowed to be depressed. I'm a man. I'm expected to do right. And then when I do right, it's rarely applauded because I'm expected to do right. When you do right and get the right answer, we must celebrate you and congratulate you. And if you're not feeling good, we must coddle you and baby you and give you pep talks. But and I'm not
I think
by
you're
any
allowed to
means-
feel.
by any means. In general, yeah, you can feel what you feel. But from a society standpoint, men don't get to acknowledge and bask and boil in that anxiety or depression.
There's
We
a lot
live
of
under
functional
different
depressed people.
we live under different
So
consequences.
how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
I
How
don't-
do you unpack?
Yeah.
Or-
I don't for the most part. One, I've been a parent longer than I've been an adult, really. I don't have the luxury of being depressed when I have kids to feed. My oldest daughter is 24. So I've been a parent for a long time. Like being depressed, people who have kids have to push on no matter what. We have to have resilience no matter what. When you want to lay down for 2-3 hours or rest all morning, you can. People with children, we wake up for somebody else. We live our life. Every day we wake up, we got to get up for someone else.
So
It's been a long time since I had the luxury of being like, well, I don't feel like it.
Wait, but my question is, what do you do for yourself? Because you said it. No, like, hear me out. You say, you said you have to push forward. You got to keep going because you do a bunch of things that is basically
Your
a thankless
responsibilities,
job,
yeah.
right? Now, my real question is, what do you do for you? Where, like, just for you? You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, it sounds like you could implode at any second. Like,
yeah,
you're
not
alive.
because
necessarily,
I-
but I'm saying, like, you know how, like, you have
I have my ways
like,
of,
what's your
to
me?
vent
What does
and
your me day look
whatever
like? Just whatever pockets of happiness.
whatever I decide to do. You know what I mean? I can do whatever I want to do. I just do whatever I decide to do. Like I have my times where I'm going to focus on fun, and I have my times where I have to focus on work and the next level. And I do whatever. There's a day where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take this day, kind of do nothing, just lounge in my big ass house. Go from room to room. Hey, room. Haven't
So
seen
that's
you
like
in a
your
week.
way of decompressing
Anyway, whatever
in a way.
for me personally, whatever I want to do,
Yeah.
I am blessed and in position to do it.
Yeah.
If I can get up, I've done it before. I can tell my wife, we finna just fly right here. I can get up and go. But I don't acknowledge how uncomfortable I am day to day because as a man, it serves as an impediment to your success. Acknowledging, I'm depressed or this and that. That is an impediment to your success. All right, you feeling a way, like she said, it's an indicator. What is making you feel that way? Well, every time I go around this person, problem solved. Stop going around that person. As a man, you have to be solution oriented. We're not allowed to bask in negative impeding emotions.
Yeah.
Like I'm depressed and I need a hug. It doesn't, we live under different sets of consequences. That's all I'm saying. So we see the world differently. But I'm generally, especially at this phase of life, I'm never depressed. I have nothing to be depressed about. And plus I got full control of my thought life.
That's
So what
another-
goes into my brain and my head and what I let simmer and ruminate, I'm in full control of.
Oh my God. That's why I say, like, in the morning, I don't like looking at my phone at least 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. I don't even like watching the news. My dad and I got into
don't
a
watch
whole
the
argument
news.
because he watches the news every night. When I went back to go to take care of him after he had a stroke,
It's a lot.
I was having nightmares
Yeah.
because that's what I was hearing in the
Every
background.
other second, someone got killed or shot
Yes.
or ran over or it's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember there was a point where I was watching the news all the time.
You want to?
Do you feel like it did something?
I
to
just
you?
wanted, it did. It dimmed my frequency because it's usually
I agree.
bad news, right?
Yes.
But when I was in my dark spot and I was like, I need to come out on the other side, when I began to self-develop, I went from watching the news in the background, just letting it play all day, to ESPN. I would let that play all day long. Now, I know most people are like, well, yeah, you a guy, you want to hear sports. No, it was the frequency. Everybody on that TV is trying to win.
and they're highlighting.
They're highlighting their wins. They everybody, whether you on that team or this team or football or baseball or golf. That frequency of everybody trying
Somebody
to win
won.
and everybody talking about what
Somebody
kind of
scored. Somebody did. Yeah.
everybody talking about what kind of fortitude they needed to come back and win the next game. I let that energy fill my house up all day long. It was just in the background because this was early on before I fully understand energy and frequency.
Yeah.
I had some understanding and I was like, you know what? I'm going to let this play in the background. So that replaced the news and it did wonders for my life because again, it put me on a frequency
Yeah.
of everything that's positive because the universe don't reward you for who you pretend to be. The universe rewards you for who
Frequency,
you
energy.
really are.
Mhm.
It's going to pair you with everything on the same frequency as you without your permission. So you can
Mhm.
pretend to be happy, or you can just find something to be happy about. But
Right.
if you're not happy, pretending to be happy won't elevate your frequency. Just be happy. Because
Yeah.
again, the universe is indifferent.
The universe
It's just
knows
going to
no
pair
jokes.
you. The universe will simply pair you with whatever else is on that same frequency as you. So that's why when you mad or feeling away, switch your frequency. Find something to be happy about. Because if you drop your frequency, now I done broke my phone. I got a parking ticket. More, you're gonna usher in more calamity.
Yeah.
So no matter how bad it is, find a way to elevate your frequency. You could do it through music. You could do it through great conversation. Have people that know how to fill your gas tank up, where you don't necessarily have to say, "Hey, I'm sad." You could just call them, and they just start talking to you, and you feel better at that after that conversation.
Yeah, I like.
Find a happy place. Like I like the beach. I like just being at the park. I like just sitting in the room in the
I like
dark
coffee.
and painting. Find that to elevate your frequency. And from there, all your problems will begin to dissipate. But again, the universe will only pair you with everything on the same frequency as you without your consent. It's like a radio station. If you turn it on right now, it's going to probably come in on the middle of a song. That song was already playing. You just couldn't hear it because you wasn't tuned in. Your blessings are already there. You just can't reach them because you're not tuned in. You on the wrong frequency.
Yeah.
And not to be pushing positive toxicity, as you say.
Toxic positivity.
That's a whole different
That
thing.
she
That's a
says
whole different-
toxic. I don't want to push
No, it's
toxic
not.
positivity.
No.
Well, first of
But
all,
it's an
you know what?
adjustment.
When he said gripe earlier, I just remembered. So we all went on live on TikTok for the first time, and somebody said, "What? I have toxic empathy."
I
Should-
never heard.
Do you want
that
to do
one.
a poll on that later? Actually,
Like what? What is
about
toxic?
like what's toxic? Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out between
Yeah.
toxic positivity and toxic empathy
Yeah.
because I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
But
gotta-
well, you
yeah.
said so not to go on toxic positivity, but
But you must regulate your thought life.
1000%.
A lot of y'all thought life is dirty. So
That
the
within
way you
itself
s-
is practice, though.
well,
For
that's
sure.
that's what self-development is all about.
No, 1000%. But some people, you know what I mean? It's like, what would be your advice for people that are struggling with doing that? Because you said before, when you want to change, you have to change in wholesale, right?
Mhm.
So that's
On a
tough.
wholesale basis,
So what do
yeah.
you feel like will be the first step to do that? You know what I mean?
To
Like
do what?
to regulate your thought life so then you're en route to changing wholesale.
Be cautious, mindful, and intentional about what you read, who you talk to, and what you listen to. That's the first step.
And what you
Because
say.
a lot of things,
And how
That's the
you talk
second
and how
step.
you talk about yourself.
that's the second step. Because a lot of things that we watch, listen to, and people we talk to,
Subconsciously.
their ideals will permeate our subconscious
Mm.
and start to dictate how we feel. You did just like the way your hair and body looked until you went online and saw this person with an 8-pack and they like, hey, I just had a kid too. Now you're like, dang, I ain't even have a kid. What am I? You have to watch what you're listening to and who you're talking to and what you're doing with your idle time. You must be intentional and consistent in protecting your mental. There's certain people that when your phone ring, you be like,
It's true.
you should know not to answer. If you feel like that, you have to create enough distance with them as necessary so that you become immune from whatever frequency they're gonna bring you on. Because when they call you, that's why you feeling in your physicality. All right, that lets you know that you need to take a break from them. It's okay to go on a relationship diet. I love you. We still cool. This is not about you. This is about me. Just like if you eating bad foods and junk food, you're going to have rotten teeth and high blood pressure and diabetes. If you're around negative people who talk about rotten things, who talk about people who always got gripe, you're going to end up on that same frequency and their energy is going to permeate your thought life and you're going to sink into a depression. And you don't know why you mad and know why you sad. So it's okay
Right.
to take a relationship diet. Take a break from them people. I love you, but I'm going to love you from a distance, and I use my Wi-Fi as love all the time. I'm going to love you from over here. But right now, it's about me. It ain't about me not being a good friend or a good brother or a good uncle. It's about me doing what I need to do for me because I don't like the frequency I end up on when you come into my orbit.
Yeah, my mom told me about that, like in terms of yourself. Like, what did she tell me? She said, because I remember when she got divorced the second time, And I'm like, dang, like, you didn't think about me. Like, I had a relationship with my stepdad too. Like, you just decided that and you're like, I don't care what anybody else thinks. And this was the realest thing that she's ever said. And it took me a minute to understand it, but now I get it. She said, Nika, sorry, that's my nickname at home. Now you guys know.
Mhm.
She goes, Nika, I cannot be a hypocrite to myself.
Mhm.
So if I would have made a decision based upon what everybody else is feeling, I would have still been unhappy.
Right.
So I can't be a hypocrite to myself. And
Right.
she said, I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. I can't be pouring into your cup and being, you know, on super mom mode if I'm unhappy. And she was sick. She was in and out of the hospital 3 years in a row.
Mm.
And then finally she pulled the plug. And I'm like, okay, I get it now. But at the time I couldn't understand because I'm like, you know, I had a relationship with him too. But then afterwards, I'm like, that's so true. Because if you're at war with yourself just to be at peace with everyone else, that's really tough.
That doesn't work.
No. And I'd rather have it be the other way around because I go to sleep and wake up to my brain, to my body.
Mm-hmm.
I have these conversations with myself, the staff meeting in my head,
Yeah.
you know? So it took me a minute to really understand what she meant, but now I get it. And I'm still working towards really putting myself first because my knee-jerk reaction, especially when it comes to like friendships or intimate relationships, when I love, like I care, and when I care a lot. So what happens is selflessness is like on autopilot for me. And being a little selfish sometimes is not really selfish. It's more like self-love.
I 100% believe in being selfish, and I will be as selfish as I want to be, and I don't care what anyone thinks about it.
And that's what I'm trying to, like, that's where I'm striving to. Because, you know, everyone's like, self-love this, self-love that. But self-love is way
It became
deeper.
more of a fad than
Yeah,
it was,
like
yeah.
it's way deeper than me getting my nails done, me getting my hair done. Like, that's not it. That's just like the surface level. But
It started with me being super duper inquisitive.
ooh,
So I started questioning a lot of things that I used to just think on, and I was like, why do I think that? And then, you know, again, like
think what, like, give
certain things like, oh, however I feel about a situation, or what is the human condition. So I think what led me into start self-developing and started being inquisitive about my emotions and who I was as a person was because I was trying to figure out like who I actually was.
Mhm.
So I started looking into characteristics of a childhood where I grew up, where my parents were very strict, very militant, like didn't really tap much into my emotions or care about what I thought, or didn't really treat me as like a human or a part of
Mhm.
like the household, or had an opinion and things of that nature. So I was a very quiet, reserved child. I responded really well to discipline, but like I didn't know how to like regulate my emotions because I was never even able to express them.
Mm.
So I spent a super long time pulling in my emotions and ignoring them and being like, well, no one cares anyway. For
Wow.
the longest time. I'm like, well, why is this? Or why am I like this? And like I just started wanting to understand not only my condition, but the human condition. Like, why do we do this? So I started looking into even neuroscience. I started looking into the law of attraction, and started just like, and my brother would tell me stuff, or Six would tell me stuff, or like, I just started immersing myself with like understanding everything about like me and again, the human condition. So that really plummeted me into starting to think different because I was like, oh, like it seems default because you're a child and all of a sudden you're an adult and it just seems normal. You don't know what you're thinking. You don't know that what you're thinking is maybe toxic or not helpful. You just know it because that's how you are. You're just walking, you're just walking your truth. You don't have any clues.
So for the longest time, not for the longest, after therapy and after unpacking all of those things with my therapist, I didn't realize how much I used to say, oh my God, sorry if I'm bothering you with this. Sorry for my rant. Or I would be like,
Apologetic.
yes. And that's because growing up, like a lot. I don't know. I can't speak for all, but I was watching it's one of those reality shows, those Asian reality shows here in LA. But a lot of Asian families, they tend to shame you for having emotions, or they tend to dismiss how you feel. Like, you cannot be depressed. And if you are, like, my cousin and I talk about this. Angelito's Filipino. He knows this. Like, if you're depressed or you're in your feelings, it's like, oh, you're overreacting. Cut it out. Like, then that's where toxic positivity comes in, where, oh, you think you have it bad right now? Oh, we're in this country now. If you think about our cousins in the Philippines, like, they're still flushing the toilet with a bucket. Like, that's not what you're doing. Yada, yada, yada. It's damn near I wasn't allowed to feel. So then, same as you, I wasn't really able to express myself to my parents. And then growing up and getting older, and as I'm developing relationships with people, making friends, I found myself giving you a disclaimer like, hey, I'm so sorry, but can I, or after I vent to you, I'm like, sorry, I know that was like long-winded, right? I'm so sorry. Like, and I still do find myself over apologizing sometimes, but I'm working on that. And that, I say all that to say, after I started having a therapist, that's when I realized it all stemmed from childhood.
I think your mom had the right intentions,
No,
but
for
the
sure.
wrong delivery. Because your mom had the right intentions, but the wrong delivery. Because I call it,
Well, usually it was my grandma that was like really harsh.
your grandmother had the right, her heart was in the right place.
Yeah.
Her delivery and her words were wrong.
Yeah.
It was very harsh.
This generation of people, they suffer from something that I call SBC syndrome.
What's that?
SBC is sad by comparison.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say soft ass bitch or something.
Sad by comparison.
That's enough. We talk
all
about
soft
that.
now.
We're gonna talk about that too, because I do think it's a I saw something, this era is soft. But back to your question, SBC syndrome is sad by comparison.
Like, you're comparing your life
You're
to someone
comparing
else.
your life to someone else and other things you see, and everybody, she's 30 and look at her. You're sad by comparison.
That's
So
messed up.
your mom was saying, well, change the metric.
Ah.
Change the go look at them. Now you'll be HBC, happy by comparison. But a lot of people they suffer from SBC syndrome. They're sad by comparison. They fine until they get online. That's like when you was like, I don't even look at my phone sometimes. And I hear people that's like, I'm taking a break from Instagram, and the internet is just so negative. And I always find that odd. Like, it's so negative. The last time I checked, you cultivate the people that you follow. These are all the people you put there. So you taking a break from your decisions only to go back to your same decisions and end up back in the same place you so desperately wanted to get out of?
Yep.
To me, that is asinine and ridiculous. You cultivated that. So if you want to suffer from SBC, then keep comparing. Sad by comparison syndrome, keep comparing your life to others.
Wait, I don't suffer from that.
we talking.
Oh,
This
I'm
is
like, wait, oh,
conversation
this is,
extended beyond
okay.
that.
I was like, wait, what? Oh, okay.
But
got
your
it.
mom was, or your
Your
grandmother.
mom
But she was
didn't
doing the
want you-
opposite. She was
She
doing the opposite.
didn't want you to have SBC syndrome.
Gotcha.
She just did not deliver it right. But she's like, when I went to Jamaica, short story, and it changed my life. I was already on the right path, and that's why people always come up to me and be like, Six, well, today in the gym, I was working out, this European American approached me and was like, hey man, I be seeing your clips and I saw him watching me for a while. And he finally just approached me. I be seeing your clips and hearing the stuff you talk about. What books should I read? What I'm 24, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, I asked him, all right, what books have you read and where you want to be at in life? Because just saying, read this book, if you're not ready for the information, it won't move the needle. It's the difference between me cooking a good meal and you just smelling it, and me cooking a good meal and you actually eating it. So when you reading these books that you're not actually open and have the intellectual bandwidth to ingest, it won't do anything for you. You get what I'm saying? So I was already in my self-development pretty early on, and I took a trip to vacation to Jamaica with my wife. And while we were there, it changed everything, because what happened here, I do it everywhere I go now. But I remember I was there, short story. Like, first of all, it's like 2 traffic lights. Like, there's no.
Where'd you guys
it's-
go? Where in Jamaica?
We went to
Montego Bay?
Ocho Rios and Montego Bay, Lucille, that area. And I saw people walking. I saw people with no shoes on. It's like long, like 2 miles to a bus stop type stuff.
And they're like the happiest people.
And and one day we went to go climb this waterfall. So the guy on the tour bus, they have a script they're supposed to read from. And I remember he was like, you know what? I'm gonna tell y'all about what's really going on here. And he just was like, look, we getting taxed by England, I believe. They doing this, they doing that. We living off of like $15, $20 a week. He giving us just the real. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. But then I had a moment after that, looking out the window, and I saw this lady walking, and the kid was walking, and this long roads if you've been. So I'm like, well, there's nothing, it ain't like a shop right here or a restaurant. It's a long walk. But they walking, the kid ain't got no shoes, but they laughing and talking and playing. And I realized something. I realized these people don't have Benzes and VVS diamonds and Cartier bracelets, but they still over here happy. Matter of fact, they ain't even got no shoes on. They got to walk 3 miles to wherever they got to go, and they're still happy. I said, that's how foreigners, because I always wonder, how do foreigners come here and just beat out us? Well, we're too good. You like, what? The $100 a week? I don't want that. They like $100 a week. I was making $20 a week. Wait, I have a toilet in my house? I'll take it. So
they actually flush it?
They able to do more with less because they humble. They are humble. And I was like, when I had that epiphany, like, look how happy they are.
Right.
Even in their conditions. In America, you can be poor and still eat steak, have a car, maybe 2 cars, premium cable, and Sling,
First
plus
of
a
all,
Hulu account.
Some of the projects here in the United States is way better than the squatters area in the Philippines.
Absolutely. And I've been to Brazil. I've been to like 23, 24 different countries. And every time I always look for something to learn in a way that's going to motivate me and put my mind on the right track. Because when I left Jamaica, before I left, I think I was 2 days in when this happened. Because I remember like I couldn't wait to come back here. Literally, I was like,
You were so
when I
grateful.
get back here, I'm going to hustle like an immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
And I meant that in the most respectful, honorable way. I was like, now I see how they beating us. They look at opportunity different because they come from harsh environments. You think what you have is harsh? You think what you have is harsh?
Until you go to a
All right,
third
go
world country.
to one of these, even the non-third world countries. I've been to Italy. The Italy got a hood. There's a hood everywhere.
There is,
And
but I
if
feel
you
like the
feeling
harshest
bad
ones,
about your situation, start traveling. Turn on the Discovery Channel. That way you be HBC, happy by comparison. Or GBC, even more.
What's that?
Grateful by comparison.
Yeah.
But a lot of people suffer from SBC, sad by comparison, because you comparing yourself to somebody that might be in a final chapter of their life.
Wait, so I know some people do the comparison thing, right? Maybe you can label it as SBC, but I feel like it's normal so pretend like, I don't know, the 3 of us all graduated college together and we all started from that even playing field, right? Next thing you know, I see, I don't know, pretend we all graduated from law school. Now I see that you're with a law firm and you're doing well. You started at a nonprofit law place and then now you're killing it because you're doing all this pro bono stuff for the community. And then I'm here and I'm like, holy crap, I'm still waiting tables because I'm not, I haven't landed a role at a law firm or whatever. I feel like some people that do the SBC do that because they're like, dang, I started along the lines of this. I mean, I started in the same playing
Like an
field as
industry
these two.
standard or
Yes.
something?
And then the next thing you know, I'm still here. So then they're kind of like, in a way, it's like, then they start doing, I don't know, introspection. What am I doing wrong? Like, how did they do it?
Well-
And I feel like a lot of people suffer from that too.
Well, that's a classic example of SBC syndrome. Sad by comparison, because you like, we both started in the industry and now they killing it. She might die in 5 years. You don't know what your timeline is.
I feel like that should be used as
Pause real quick.
motivation.
Pause real quick.
Not that, but
By the time Tupac was 22 years old, he had like 5 Grammys, 10 albums, 16 movies. And they like, he killing it. But he died at 25. You don't know his timeline. You don't know that person's timeline. It might take you 10 years, but on your 10-year mark, you making $250,000 a year.
Right.
And gonna live another 50 years. Everybody on a different timeline because everybody got a different path and everybody got a different calling. And again, even if y'all start from the same place, not really, maybe you wasn't networking in college. Maybe you wasn't there's still variables and you don't know that person's timeline.
Right.
I'm glad Tupac had all those accomplishments because he didn't live to be 43 years old.
I think that is the hardest thing to pull away from, because when you do that type of comparison, and I always say this to myself and anyone that would listen, it's like, but you didn't do exactly what that other person did verbatim. Like, you didn't take every single step. You didn't get to, y'all met in college, but that doesn't mean you, all the work that came before you even get in there. Like, I always dismantle that for myself by saying, like, I don't actually know what this person has done and is willing to do.
Yeah.
So it's not easy for me, or I, again, dispel that comparison by that. Like, I'm making assumptions that are not benefiting me. Why wouldn't I just make an assumption that does benefit me?
Yeah.
And I think we didn't get a chance to get into it much today, but that's why thought life is so important.
Absolutely.
Because if it, like you said, if anything, it should kind of motivate you. Like, oh crap, they're killing it. They did this.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I should have a little coffee chat with them and see what they did. Like, and
instead of taking it in a negative way.
Or like,
But again, it, like you said, it goes down to your thought life.
Yeah.
Your thought is, oh my God, I'm not killing it. Somebody with a keen thought life is like, that's who I need to get next to. I don't hate it. I got 2 rules and you know it. I don't hate on nobody and I don't wait on nobody. See, poor people and people at the bottom, they compete. But people at the top, we collaborate. We get together and we collaborate because we understand if you stand close enough to the fire, you will heat up too. So I don't hate on anything that I want to see in my life. Anything that I want, I don't care if it's somebody I don't necessarily like that have it. When I see it, I champion it and I embrace it.
Yeah.
Because whether I like that person or don't, if I'm hating on something they have, I'm telling the universe I don't want it. So I don't hate on anyone or have any negative feelings towards anyone that has anything I want. You can't have indifference, jealousy, whether it's overt or clandestine, or you can't have hatred in your heart for someone that's exceeding and doing well because you're telling the universe, I don't want that thing.
Yeah.
So when they sitting up online, like hating on this guy, hating on that guy, talking shit, you're not doing nothing but delaying your own blessing because you're telling the universe you don't want money. You don't want to travel. You don't want a happy home. You don't want a husband or a wife. So even if it's clandestine, you don't even speak it. I have secret animosity. You're still telling the universe, do not give me that thing. Because again, the universe don't reward you for who you pretend to be. It reward your true intentions in your heart.
and to even add to that, the universe, you're not only are you telling the universe that you don't want it, like give the example of being on a specific radio station or a specific frequency, you're actually telling the universe you're not there. So the universe can't magnify that for you because you're already telling the universe you're not there. The universe can't give you something you don't believe you have in the first place.
Yeah, that's why I even when I don't even say the B word, even on moments that I was BROKE back in the day.
Oh, a brokey.
Yeah, I don't say it. I'm allergic to that word pertaining me. I lived in a frequency where I already felt like I had it. It's damn near delusional.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
But the universe conspired to my delusions and it
Always.
took me to where I'm at
It
right
doesn't
now.
know the difference between whether
Exactly.
it's real or not. So.
I stopped the self-deprecating jokes. I stopped saying, you know how sometimes people make mistakes and they're like, my dumbass. I never, ever refer to myself as my dumbass. I stopped all of that. And then even down to when I was speaking to my therapist and I labeled myself as a late bloomer. She said, stop that. She said, you're not a late bloomer. She said something similar to Six. It's like, you have your path and trust that. That's okay.
And, yeah, because in
And that's your-
comparison to who?
Right. That's your
Yeah.
timeline. But we were in conversation about, and maybe I was doing an SBC, but not sad. I'm lying. Maybe I was doing just a comparison, and I'm like,
Maybe
dang.
As soon as you say "dang," that's an expression. That's a connotation
Well,
of being
okay.
sad and disapproval.
So
that was
I said to
SBC.
her, I
She
was
was
like,
looking for a reason to understand why she was where she was.
right. And I was speaking with my
So,
therapist, and I said, dang, like everyone back home are either married, they're having
Mm.
babies, and I'm just here drunk looking for my phone every weekend. I joked with her,
Mm.
and that's when she stopped me with the self-deprecating jokes, and then that's when she also stopped me from saying that I'm a late bloomer. Then I had that same conversation with my dad, and I asked my dad because he was a knucklehead, but yeah, he graduated and it took him a minute, but now he's a trial court judge. He's retiring this year. And I asked him what was his process like. He did do a comparison, but he used the SBC as motivation for him to keep going because he said he looked around at some point when he was still a lawyer and everyone is now in Senate, a governor, a this, a that. This person is moving up in ranks and he's like, I got to get my shit together. And then he got it together and then he finally got there.
Yeah.
And he also told me, do not call yourself a late bloomer because your path is your path.
Right, you speaking that into existence.
Yeah. Any
That's why-
last words about
That's why. Hold,
mental
let me say
health?
this, and I got something that y'all probably not gonna see coming when it comes,
over.
especially this era of mental health. But every piece of advice your dad gave you centers around controlling your thought life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to let y'all know out there, your thought life is the nucleus of your future. The power of thinking is far more greater than the power of hope.
Mm.
Let me ask you a question. If you had to get on an airplane with somebody, you want to fly with the person that think they can fly it or a person that hope they can fly it?
No, I want them to know they can fly it.
I'd rather have them the belief that they think they can fly it.
But you
Hope
still
is
said
crazy.
the think.
Yeah, what do you
want
mean you
them
hope?
I want them to know they can
so
fly
don't
it.
hold on to hope.
Right.
You got to think you can do it. You got to think you can be rich. You got to think you can be fit. You got to think you can be happy.
That's
you got to think
conviction.
you can be the one that's lucky. You got to think that you can be the exception,
Yeah.
not hope.
Yeah.
Hope is centered around, prayer, which is good. Pray. But when you get done praying, when you get off your knees, get off your ass and go hustle. Because you cannot replace hard work with prayer.
No.
And that's what a lot of black people think. No. You still have to put some muscle behind your hustle. I want to say this before we get out of here, unless you got any last words. I know you got any last words. Why you smirking?
I know you do the polls. I was gonna suggest, but you will do that in a second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we can figure out what a poll is maybe after he's done with that.
I've never seen an era that's more health conscious and going to therapy, which I love. But we are starting to foster and cultivate a society of fragility. We are making people emotionally fragile and weak.
How?
I'm finna tell you, there's a time in our lives where we all gonna struggle. That's just a part of life. You have to struggle. But now people are labeling everyday struggles as a crisis. Everything is a crisis. Oh, I'm feeling away. You're not getting along with your mom. There's somebody on your job that don't like you. You heard no 3 times today. Oh my God, I'm in crises. This is a crisis. This is not a crisis. This is Wednesday. There's days like this and months like this. We have to foster a society where we acknowledge like, oh, those are your emotions. I acknowledge that, but it don't make it fact and it don't make it real. Because now everybody is using their emotions and going, no, it got to be facts. So this is how I feel. And we're coddling them a little bit too much.
You think so?
And I know so. Everybody's fragile and everybody going to therapy and nobody's healed. I know people that's been in therapy 3-4 years still having the same problem.
I don't
'Cause
think
the
you're ever
therapist-
going to be healed though. Healing is a journey. It's not like I go to therapy now, no, boom, I'm
That's-
healed. You're going to continue.
If you feel like that, remember, you don't think, so you won't. I don't think I'll ever be healed, so you won't. That's like
I didn't
cutting
say
your-
I don't think I'll be healed.
You just said if you did, you don't. You just said
I didn't say I don't think I'll be healed. I said most of the time you're not going to be fully healed. You're always healing.
right, and that's how you think.
I could see what you're both
You
saying.
think you're gonna always be healing,
I could see.
so
what
you're
both
gonna
saying.
always be healing.
I think it's
Because you
saying,
can-
like,
But if
you're
you
not
cut your
always
arm-
happy, but you have moments of happiness.
Yeah,
Sometimes
like
you'll be
it's still a
retested by something
journey.
new level.
I see
new
what you mean
devil.
about you healed at
Yeah,
this
new
point.
level, new devil. Sometimes
Yes.
when you get somewhere,
That's what I
and
mean,
expands,
yeah.
you might get tested with something
Exactly.
else.
I didn't say like, oh, I don't think I'm ever gonna heal. No,
No,
I'm
it's a
saying like you'll heal
process
from
that
this,
is
but like you said,
ongoing.
new level, new devil.
Yeah, ongoing process of healing.
Yes, it's always a journey.
I could see that.
I think, and again, see, that's what women do. Yeah, you're right.
No,
We
I
got to
can see
stop.
that.
We need to start arming people with the tools necessary for them to navigate these uncomfortable situations where they can come out on the other side and be
100%.
successful and not keep coddling everybody. No, yeah, I've made the same mistake 100 times. It's okay. This is a part of your journey. No, it's not. Stop.
No one's saying it's okay.
There are people that say it's okay. You want to know the way they say it? They say it like this: mistakes are okay. That's acknowledging, like, I'm going to keep making them.
That's like
and they're
saying
okay.
failure is not an option. It actually is, because you fail your way to success. So I
I
think
just-
there
Well,
is an element of
well, he-
being able to embrace and have resilience in situations.
Well, you
where
have to
you are
define
tested.
I
fail.
think that it's okay
You
to
only
make
fail
mis-
if you quit. If you don't quit, you didn't fail.
I also think that it's okay to make mistakes, and I also think that it's okay to like the pace that you learn your mistakes. It doesn't make you an idiot, or it doesn't make anybody enabling you anything. You're just acknowledging the pace of the learning process where you make, where you learn from your mistakes.
As long as you
I
don't give
understand.
up,
I
right?
understand that element, but I fundamentally disagree with you. Mistakes are not okay. If they were okay, they wouldn't be called mistakes. They'd be called okays, and that's the problem.
Yeah, but
We
you're
think
supposed
them-
to learn from your mistakes.
Just because you're supposed to learn from it don't mean it's okay.
But nobody said it was okay.
You just said mistakes are okay.
You
We're gonna
said
rewind
that
the tape.
people. I said I'm okay with the pace that I learned with my mistakes.
Y'all
I'm not going to
heard
be
that?
hard on
when
myself.
y'all watch this, see how crazy people
Wait,
are?
I have a
she
question,
just said
though. What
mistakes
is
are
the
okay. I just
point?
heard her say that.
Because you do make mistakes.
Exactly.
Mistakes realign you. It's an indication of what you did wrong. Sin is missing the mark. You might miss the mark. You have to get up and do it again and figure out how to navigate it correctly the next time
This-
you experience.
And when I
It's
say it's
true.
okay to make mistakes, I'm saying it took me so long to be actually kind to myself because I was really, really, really tough on myself. So when I say
He might be
that's
saying,
okay, I'm
"That's
not
good."
saying it's okay, go make the mistake again. No, Leah, give yourself some grace. Do what you have to do to heal from this and learn from it and push forward. That's what I meant. I didn't say it's okay to make mistakes or mistakes are okay.
You did, in fact, say that.
But
We
that's
have it on
exactly
camera.
why I elaborated. And this is
So
why we're
peop-
here.
People who adapt that mentality tend to continue to make the same mistakes over
I
and
beg
over
to
again.
differ.
How is that even life? I'm trying to understand how that is even life. You can't go through life and not make mistakes.
That's not what I'm
Exactly.
saying. You're not, neither one of y'all are letting me
Oh.
land. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what I'm saying. Mistakes are not okay. She said, and we have it on tape, mistakes are okay. And I said mistakes are
elaborated.
not okay. If mistakes were okay, they wouldn't be called mistakes. They'll be called okays. Are we going to make mistakes? Yes. Should you learn from your mistakes? Yes, but they're not okay. Insurance should pay you out if you have a car accident. And they will. But does that mean the car accident is okay? No, it was not okay.
I don't know what difference it makes.
Because I just told you, people who think like that tend to continue the same toxic inertia that made them depressed in the first place. They keep
That's
making
what
the
you
same mistakes. People that think like that tend to be in the same place they was 10 years ago.
I'm
Nothing
going to
changed but the
repeat
date.
myself one more time. It has nothing to do with people like that tend to make the same mistakes. I said, I like the pace where I learn my mistakes. And I like the process that I go through when it comes to learning from my mistakes. It doesn't mean that I learned it 10, 50 million. It doesn't mean I made the mistake 10 million times. This is a general thing about mistakes, period. I could have either learned it one time or I had to bump my head 3 times. But either way, I give myself grace and I honor how I feel and I like the pace where I learn my mistakes. And if you feel like that mentality is what's going to propel me to keep on doing the same thing and I'm depressed again, that's a personal thing.
I'm admonishing them. What you do is on you.
No, I
I'm
get that. I get that, but
everybody-
you're generalizing it. You said people who
Yes.
think like that. I'm
Yes,
pretty
I
sure
do
there's
believe
other
that.
people out here that like the pace that they make their mistakes as well.
I'm not
So that's gonna
I'm not
be our poll
but wait,
for
I'm not
today.
protesting whether that is a good poll. I'm not protesting whether you like the pace you at or not. You're conflating two different things and trying to muddy the waters. I'm not protesting
I'm not
whether
muddying
you like
nothing.
you are, because I'm not protesting that. You keep saying I like the pace I'm at. I'm not protesting whether
I'm just
you
saying
like
a
the
lot of
pace.
people are not
But
kind
that
to
has
themselves.
nothing to do with my actual message, and you're conflating it. I'm
Okay.
not protesting the pace you at. What I'm protesting is people who generally adapt that mentality, talking to you out there, TV land. People who do that tend to continue to make the same mistakes over and over again, and they are not learning. Because if you did it again, did you learn? Where's the evidence that you learned if you made the same mistake again? There's no evidence
What
that
if
you actually
they learned
learned.
it from the first time, but they were just taking their time with the pace they're learning
let's just
it?
use sports. In sports, people have to shoot a million free throws.
Thank
they might miss a
you.
certain percentage of them. They fix their form and they do it again.
Thank you.
You missed the
That's not
shot.
the
That's
same.
okay
That's
to
not
miss
the-
the mark, to miss the shot, to
Exactly.
miss the
That's
goal.
not the same thing. And I can tell you never play organized sports. Nobody goes into the locker room and say, you missed 13 shots. That's okay. They be like, nah, we got to stop doing that. Go to practice.
I'm not saying
It's-
that.
Yes.
I'm
Mistakes
saying
will happen. This should
you're
be a
not
good
going to
poll.
make
Let's word it.
100% of all your
Yeah, let's
shots.
do
I'm
the
not
poll
saying
because-
I'm not saying that you are or you aren't. I'm saying do not. I'm admonishing anyone that wants to follow what I'm saying. Do not adapt the mentality that mistakes are okay. If they happen, acknowledge them and extract what you can learn from them. But if you adapt that mentality that they're okay, it's cool, you're going to keep making the same mistake. And after you make the mistake once, it's no longer a mistake. It's a choice. You can only make a mistake one time. After the first time, it ain't a mistake no more. That's a choice.
Okay. Here is the poll for today. Do you resonate with Six's example of what mistakes are and how they are handled? Or do you resonate with what Leah and I were saying about our example of how to handle mistakes? Let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think.
Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you, you beautiful humans. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share. We are 1 month in. Thank you for all the support,
Yes.
y'all. Like, subscribe, share, join the
Comment.
conversation. And as always, this is a dummy-free zone, so don't get on here saying no stupid shit.
Boy, I sure hope the dummies aren't listening.